James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. To the 12 tribes in the dispersion, greetings. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Let the lowly brother boast in his exaltation, and the rich in his humiliation. Because like a flower of the grass, he will pass away. For the sun rises with its scorching heat, and withers the grass. Its flower falls, and its beauty perishes. So also will the rich man fade away in the midst of his pursuits.
Good morning. Check. We good? Okay. There's our lighthouse man. Well, the lighthouse keeper. There he is. Calm as can be. Well, maybe you should go inside. We'll see. There's that wave. What did James say about the wave? About the wave? Hold on, let me find it. Verse 6. The one. Let him ask in faith, don't doubt. The one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. It made me consider this, kids. If I can be like a wave, then a wave must be a living thing. Like, I mean, if he's comparing people to waves, so I thought maybe there's, like, you can have a wave as a pet. Oh. So I went to the pet store and I asked them for their cheapest wave they had. They didn't have any, which is odd because I saw a lot of fish swimming in waves. But so I went home and I made big holes to hold waves in my front yard. So I had plenty of waves to capture. I brought Splash with me today. Splash is my wave. My pet wave. Oh, he's really cool, actually. Kids, I mean, this is the top from last week. What's this? It stopped. What was supposed to happen? But I brought Splash with me because James says Splash can become unstable if Splash has wind pushing on him or her, I guess. I don't know. So I want to let Splash out for a minute because Splash has been bottled up for a while. And, we got Splash. Splash was not supposed to do that. I was going to tell Splash to sit, but Splash is clearly divided. No. Clean, Splash, find new home. All right, this will be back in the back. So apparently Splash is untrainable. He's clearly lost his mind. You can't capture Splash. I'm sure someone here will try after the service. So are you. If you don't have Jesus in your... Don't worry, he comes back. All right, kids, follow Miss Brittany out the side door. She's going to tell you why you need Jesus and not Splash. You don't want to be like Splash. Trust me on that one. Everyone else, we're going to James chapter 1. James chapter 1. You did a fantastic job on that video, Sarah. I don't know how you got yourself walking in two places at once. Y'all doing all right? It is very good to see you all here this morning. Julie, Stacy. Glad God has protected you all. Y'all need a new car, don't you? Okay. You got an extra car lying around. We got a family here that needs a new car. They were T-boned at a pretty high rate of speed, and so the Lord spared their lives, but the car had to take a hit. So we have a need here in this church family. I know we say car, we think God will take care of it. Okay? God will take care of your car one way or another. But we're glad you're here. Jackie, we're glad you're here this morning. You know, very, very grateful what the Lord's doing in your life. Y'all have any needs? You know, good. Anyone here that has any pressing needs? You know, food, water, bills aren't getting paid for whatever reason. Are we good? Okay, very good. All right, I'm glad you're here. I really am, because James has a lot to say to us. And we're going to start remembering that we are standing steady, even though splash is all over us. He's being driven and tossed by the wind. He seems to be overcoming us, but we stay strong. James chapter 1, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. And we're going to review this week, and I think we're going to wrap up James next week, maybe possibly the following week. But I want to build every week upon what we looked at the following weeks. Because James lays a foundation that we need to remember as we move forward. Actually, because look at these verses today. Look at them. Just look at them. Let the sun. Hold on. Let's just say if we were just to focus on 9 through 11, which is our focus point today. Let the lowly brother boast in his exaltation, the rich in his humiliation, because like a flower of the grass he will pass away. For the sun rises with its scorching heat and withers the grass, its flower falls, its beauty perishes. So also will the rich man fade away in the midst of his pursuits. That's quite a sermon in of itself, I guess. I mean, you'd almost could pull that out of what we've been looking at over the past couple weeks and let it sit on its own. You gotta ask the question, why does James insert this in the midst of this discourse on faith and steadiness? Why does he go here? I mean, James moves quick through his epistle to get to one topic to the next, but it's all tied together. Why does he move here, especially when verse 12 brings up steadfastness again? Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. So James hasn't broken thought. He hasn't broken his train of thought. So we're going to build upon what we have learned already. So we're going to take some time to review, because this is important. Because God forbid, I'm sure this passage 9 through 11 has been used to exact money from the children of God, to operate buildings such as this, and it's not meant to do that. Okay, so James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion, greetings. So these people were persecuted or were driven out because of persecution. So James writes to them and he says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds." You need to count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds. Count it all joy. Count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds. And James starts off by sounding backwards. I mean, like the world is backwards. And it takes the mind of Christ and a heart of faith to understand what he's saying. But he values you. He values these families that are fleeing persecution, and he wants them to stay strong and stay steady. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials. You go through something that reveals your true character. You should rejoice. Sounds backwards. But that's what a trial is. It's designed to show you what you have become. So he starts off his epistle talking about the hard times in your life. Because you know that these trials, the testing of your faith, produces the ability, steadfastness, the ability to bear up under hard circumstances. You all have that ability. I've seen it in your family. I've seen it in your family. You have the ability to bear up under the hardest circumstance that life can throw your way. How? Why? Well, these trials are revealing the work of God in you to build and to establish your faith. But you need to let your steadfastness have its full effect. You need to let it happen. And this is, I think, crucial when we get to verse 9. Because it's only natural to fight against the pain, to stop it. But James says there's a lot of value for you if you can let this process have its full effect. And the value is your perfection. I put the word perfect on our Facebook page, just perfect. Because it rattles some people. Because a lot of people have been educated that they are and will continue to be sinners. Okay, so there's an element of truth to that statement. I understand that. But what do you see yourself as? A sinner or the righteousness of Christ? Because the way you view yourself through which lens will really dictate your interpretation of God's Word. God is making you perfect. He's making you complete. So you'll lack nothing. Nothing. It's such an honor to be up here. To see the gospel sitting in front of me. To have any part of the work of God perfecting you. I can't think of any other place I'd rather be. We endeavor to go ahead and flip over to proclaim, Tina. It's a journey up here. It's a journey with this church to discover truth. His Word will set you free. We need to know it. You want to know it. And I know some, if not most of you. You're right there next to Steve. The curse has been broken. This is what James is saying is going on in your life. Trials, testing, to reveal what and who you become. That you have very little to do with this. You just have to believe in the lighthouse keeper who's working so hard on your behalf. Verse 5, you're going to have to close out there we go, verse 5. So James is building on this. You need wisdom to get through what Steve is going through, what Eric and Jackie are going through, what Gene is going through, what the Estelles are going through. You need wisdom. You need the ability to understand what is going on so you can act wisely upon it. And if you lack it, ask God. He will give it to you. Which, if you ask God for wisdom, proves that you have, well, I would say proves you have the mind of Christ. Because it's very wise of you to know you need wisdom. And He gives it to you freely. But don't doubt. Don't doubt that He's going to give it to you. You ask in faith. You ask in faith. How do you ask in faith? You trust with everything you are. All your power, all your might, that He's listening. And that this promise is true. Not a moment, not a millisecond of wondering if He heard you. Of wondering if it's going to come to pass. You keep your eyes on your Father. Because if you doubt, you're just going to be tossed all around in life. Waves have no ability to control themselves. The Lord wants total control. This sets you free. Because His total control is your new life. You walk in step with Him every step of the way until you make it to your new homeland. But if you're like the wave of the sea, you're double-minded. Verse 7 says, though, you should just stop your way of thinking. Don't think you'll receive anything from the Lord. If you're doubting, just shut it down. Shut it down. Turn off the thought process. And let's reset it. To start again in total trust. I'll tell you, because your imagination will take control. Because where there isn't trust in the Lord, the imagination fills in the gap with trust in yourself, trust in the other person. Or your imagination starts tearing down those around you because they are the cause of your trial. And then your imagination begins to make it very hard to love those who are even your enemies. That person must not suppose, think, believe he will receive anything from the Lord. Because he is double-minded. Dipsychos is the Greek. Two minds. You're working out of two minds. A mind of the old person, the old self, the flesh, and the mind of Christ. The Lord's giving you wisdom. The Lord is giving you, all good things come from Him to you. And some of you, you feel as if you're the wave this morning. You just can't stop it. You feel as if you're being tossed up against the lighthouse. Thrown around. And you can't stop it. I don't know how else to put it. Outside of abandon your thinking and start over. And the first thoughts should be, He loves me. He's in control. He cares more about me than the birds or the grass. I'm okay because of Him. And flood your mind with the general promises of Scripture that you know about your Father until they take root. And then when that imagination comes back to life in a manner that it shouldn't, start all over. Start it again and again, asking God for wisdom each time. And you will see a renewing take place in your mind, a transformation of seeing your life as if you've got the eyes of Christ, counting it all joy, even the hardest times. We don't want to be double-minded. One mind. The mind of Christ. That's the one you need to be operating out of. Which means it's total trust in the one you cannot see. Every step of the way. maybe, and then verse 12, just to show you James is carrying on his train of thought. How blessed are you if you remain steadfast, if you let steadfastness have its full effect? How happy are you? And some of you, you might be in a hard time right now, but you're happy. You can't even explain it because you're blessed. You're blessed. Some of you, you want to feel blessed in your hard time, and you're not there yet. Listen to me. I'll just say what Jesus said. He's working so hard in you. He's brought you here this morning for a very specific purpose, so you can see that He is crafting you. That blessed person is right around the corner. He's so close. All you need to do is believe. Because when you stood the test, there's a crown of life coming, which God has promised to those whom He loves. So this is kind of like the thought process that James starts with. But there's this 9 through 11 that seems to be misplaced. Let the lowly brother boast in his exaltation. Lowly brother and the rich, I mean, they're opposites. They contradict each other. The lowly person is the one who has nothing. But you may be able to see why James goes here. Because if I'm like you and you're like me and you're human, the first temptation in your hard time is to ask, how much money do I have? Can I buy my way out of this? Can I fix this? And the power that you have in this world to attempt to fix your problem is your stuff and your money. And the lowly brother, those of you who are poor, you get to boast because you have nowhere to go except to the Father. And hopefully you know how exalted you are. You have been released from the chains of this world, knowing life cannot be found here. My life is hidden within me. My life is the Spirit of God within me. I exalt. My hardship shows me how well off I am. How glorified I am because of the Father's love in me. I mean, He doesn't need to take much time to talk to you. It's a half a sentence to tell the poor, boast in your exaltation. To boast, just express an unusually high degree of confidence in someone or something being exceptionally noteworthy. That someone, something is you. The world won't tell you this. They'll tell you that you are the lower class, but God says you are the highest class. There's no one greater than you. Boast in the significance that you have because of your new life. Express an unusually high degree of confidence in yourself, because in yourself is a lighthouse keeper that you've become aware of through your wisdom, through the mind of Christ, that is keeping you above your problems, not underneath it. But the rich man can boast also. And the rich boasts in his humiliation. Now, James spends more time on the rich than he does the poor. Because those here, if you have very little to nothing to your name to solve your problem, you have nowhere to go except your faith. Don't desire to get out of that position. His answer for you is to boast in the position you're in, not to go and get a second job. There's no practical advice for you here outside of boasting in what the Lord has done. The rich, you boast in your humiliation. Humility, humble, the quality of unpretentious behavior, suggesting a total lack of arrogance or pride. You see, here's the common ground between the poor and the rich and the Lord. Money doesn't even come into the equation. What you have and don't have is not, it's not part of your new life. There's no pride, there's no arrogance for the rich to even suggest that you should look at what I have. And there's no whining or mourning or complaining in the poor by saying, look at how little I have. And the whole point in this is that God is working in your trial. For the rich, for those who can buy their way out of it. James is saying, I want you to get this. What James is saying. He goes into this. Listen to his illustrations here about the rich and his humiliation. Like a flower of the grass, he will pass away. The rich man will pass away. The sun rises with its scorching heat and withers the grass. Its flower falls. Its beauty perishes. So also will the rich man fade away in the midst of his pursuits. James is saying you have nothing. Count it as gone. You may have it today, but tomorrow it could be someone else's. James is going to the pocketbook because the love of that is the root of all kinds of evil. I mean, probably one of the first things that pops into your mind when you have a hard time. Someone T-bones you. When doctor bills start mounting. When the vehicle keeps breaking down. Or the school keeps asking for more money. I don't have much left. Or I have a lot. And James wants your first and foremost thought to be rejoicing in your trial. Because God is working in you. I mean, it's as if he wants money to not even be in the mind. As it's just simply a tool, like a napkin is. Or a hammer. Or your house. It's been given to you from the Lord, but he says it all what has made you appear rich is fading away right before your eyes. This word pursuits. It's interesting, especially for people like myself. Pursuits, as the Greek is using it and James is using it, business pursuits with the implication of extensive activity and journeys required. Pursuit of business endeavors, business activities. And look, I fully understand this. There are people in this room that are just geared to be entrepreneurs. But the more money you have, the more it makes you work. The more it enslaves you. If you love it in the slightest degree. If you love it to the smallest amount, it will make you work. And things begin to get upside down in your life. James, he's saying, he brings up money because it's important to James. He brings up 3 or 4 times in his epistle, and he unloads on the rich in chapter 5. His point right now, as he's gently saying it compared to where he's going, count it as if you have nothing. Boast in your humiliation, because it will all be gone one day. Your life is not bound up in what you have. And there's next steps to this. This begins to free you to live out the mind of Christ in this life. Proverbs 18:11. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, like a high wall in his imagination. You see, the rich man believes he's fortified. Nothing can touch him. It's all in his imagination. And if you look to money to any degree as if it's your protector in life, it's what brings you peace. Well, tomorrow it can all be gone. And it probably should be taken from you by someone so you can see where life is really bound up. So you can see where your life resolves or where your life lives. As much as I don't want you all to go through hard times, some of you it's just necessary. You're not fully convinced of your new character, of your new mind. You have a high wall in your imagination. And it's the high wall of stuff, of possessions. But that is your first line of defense in this world. But it robs you of the utter trust that you need in God to be steadfast. Your days are like grass. You flourish like a flower in a field and then fades away. There's beauty to your, I guess, your standing, your economic standing, your social status. There's some beauty to it. It draws attention. But what almost every writer in the Bible has mentioned or alluded to is that it's gone. It one day will just wither. The flower begins to lose its petals. And I cannot put them back on, no matter how hard you try. Did you know for about 5 years, we have built a foundation of your new life, the gospel. For 6 years since we've been in existence, I can't recall one sermon on money. I told you when Scripture brought it to us, we would talk about it, and we'll talk about it in light of the Scripture. And here, James, I've come to see in my own life just how easy money can make you drift away. Turn you into that double-minded person. I trust the Lord, yeah, but I have to provide for my family. I trust the Lord, yeah, but who's going to pay the bills tomorrow? Heaven and earth will pass away, but the words that you're hearing this morning, and especially the words of our teacher, Jesus Christ, they will stand forever. So James, let me show you how James unloads on the rich. James 5:1-6. Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. This is what the rich can be blinded to. The miseries that could be coming upon you. Your riches have rotted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver have corroded, and their corrosion will be evidence against you and will eat your flesh like fire. Now, he's talking about the person who loves money and that's it. He's talking about the person who trusts in his stuff, in his wealth, in his ability. And James is letting them know, you will become old age, osteoporosis may set in, Alzheimer's may kick in, and you'll lose the fight. Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you, and the cries of the harvester have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. See, what James is pointing out here is if you trust in money, money becomes a priority over people, to the point of defrauding people what they are owed. And that should not be in the kingdom. Should not be. If a person serves you, pay them what they're owed. Be a man and a woman of your word. You have lived on the earth in luxury and in self-indulgence. You have fattened your hearts in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the righteous person. He does not resist you. And some of you who have been frauded by people, your trust isn't in the money they have. Your trust is in the Lord. You boast. You boast in the exalted position that you are in. Paul brings this up in a different way. The importance of disconnecting your thought process from money. 1 Corinthians, this is what I mean, brothers. The appointed time has grown very short. From now on, let those who have wives live as though they had none. Now look, there's a point. Look, follow the point. I'm not saying wives cost money. That would be nice if we lived as if we had none. For those who mourn as though they were not mourning, and those who rejoice as though they were not rejoicing, and those who buy as though they had no goods. You see what he's trying to get you to do? Disconnect yourself from the business dealings in the world as if those that go good and those that don't go good, they shouldn't affect you. Live as if these things aren't even happening. Those who deal with the world as though they had no dealings with it. For the present form of this world is passing away. Now here's his point. I want you to be free from anxieties. And I think you may resonate with this. The more you have, the more you stress. The unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how to please the Lord. Those who are fully connected in the mind of Christ, that is their result. I want to please you. It's hard to get there for the rich man. But with man, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. Notice what James doesn't do. He doesn't tell the poor to go get a job and the rich to go sell everything they have. He tells you to get your mind in the right place. Get it back into that single flow of thinking, the mind of Christ. And do it by boasting either in your exaltation or in your humiliation. The poor should say, man, I am so glorified in the Lord. My life is not found here. And the rich should say, man, this will all fade away one day. How awesome would that be? How significant I am. Because my life is not found in my stuff or in my social class. I want to read to you a story. It's from Luke. And it's a slight different perspective from Jesus. I believe chapter 12. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." See, this isn't about what you have, what you don't have. If you have a lot, you need to sell, give to the poor. You're not a good person. It's not about, if you engage it at a worldly level, if you engage this conversation at a level of what you need to do to make things right, you're missing the point. Because the lighthouse keeper directs your steps to tell you what you need to do. What you need to do is orient yourself to be able to hear him. "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." So this man has been defrauded. He's been ripped off. But Jesus said to him, Man, who made me a judge over you? And he said to them, the people standing around, including this man and probably the brother who's right there, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness." It's just kind of curious. It sounds like Jesus is addressing the situation at hand. Who's he talking to? Let me give you one more line. "For one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." It's easy to say, well, he's talking to the man who is asking for Jesus to step in and get his inheritance. But I hear Jesus actually fulfilling this man's request. It sounds like he's instructing the man who has kept to himself all the money to take care. Be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. Sounds like a man who was hungry for wealth, because that's where he found his life. But it pertains also, or applies also to both brothers. He told him a parable saying, the land of a rich man produced plentifully. He thought to himself, what shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops. Is that a problem? Is that really a problem, that you work so hard that you have more than enough? No, the problem hasn't been inserted yet. He said this, I will do this, I will tear down my barns and build larger ones. There I will store all my grain and my goods. I still don't see a problem. I mean, you need a place to store this stuff. But now verse 19. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry. There's the problem. His life is found in how much stuff he has. And God said to him, fool, this night your soul is required of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? They will be handed to the next night. So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God. You see, there's two sides of that coin. Laying up treasure for yourself and not being rich towards God. Rich towards God, man, I'm going to try to wrap this up in 5 minutes. But there's still some wrinkles here we need to iron out. How are you rich towards God? Well, he kept talking. He said to his disciples, it seems like, he narrows in the conversation to his disciples, but it seems in the same context. It feels as if now his attention turns to the next brother. And what he says, therefore I tell you, possibly also to the brother who has been defrauded, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will put on. For life is more than food. Life is more than food. Don't worry about what you'll eat. Your life ain't wrapped up around food. Sounds backwards. You go 40 days without eating, and let's see if you show up the next Sunday. What is he talking about? I mean, your life needs food to move on. No. Life is so much more than food. The body more than clothing. But I don't come in here naked next week telling me that I saved some pennies. It won't go well. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds. See, that's all you're going to think about, Lance, now. It's coming in naked next week. That's really not allowed. But Jesus just said, the ravens, get this, consider them. Don't let it be a passing thought through your mind. Think about the birds. They wake up each morning. You notice he didn't say squirrels. Because squirrels store up their food for the winter time. They're crazy. And they're anxious, stressful little beings. He said the birds. Because every morning they wake up and they don't have food. Every morning they have to set out to find their food for that day. And each and every one of them. Maybe there's a bird that's starved to death. Maybe not. They all find it. The Lord provides for the birds. How would it go for you, for us, if we chose to have an empty fridge from here on out? Each morning we woke up. God, here we go. Where's the food going to come from today? Maybe we go shopping that day and just buy what we need for the day. But we don't store up the next 3 months' worth and then pray Irma doesn't take it out, and then we got to start all over. I wonder, would life be any different if you lived like the birds? You might actually know what it means to trust in the Lord a little bit more if you woke up each morning depending on God for your food. How much more value are you than the birds? Which of you, being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? If then you are not able to do as small a thing as that, why are you anxious about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass, which is alive in the field today, tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you? Oh, you have little faith. This is the issue. Trust. Trusting in the Lord. It's the line seems so thin, but it's not. Between trusting yourself and trusting God. Do not seek what you are to eat and what you are to drink. Don't be worried about it. Verse 30 of chapter 12 of Luke. For all the nations of the world seek after these things, and you're not like them. This isn't your world. This isn't your home. Your Father knows that you need this stuff. Instead, seek His kingdom. These things will be added to you. How do you seek His kingdom? How do you lay up treasure for, how are you rich towards God and not lay up treasure for yourself? Verse 32, fear not, little flock. That's a put down. You're a little sheep, a little lamb, a little flock. You have no ability to do nothing for yourself. Jesus is saying to His disciples, fear not, little fluffy animals. That wolf over there might eat you. You might fall over and not be able to get back up on your 4 legs. Fear not, little flock. I hope you see the put down. But, it's a put down on your old self. And it shows just how loved you are. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. This is all in the same discourse, okay? It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions. Give to the needy. Provide yourself with money bags that do not grow old, with a treasure in the heavens that do not fail. Provide yourself with a treasure in heaven that does not fail. No thief approaches, no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there will your heart also be. It still seems a little out there. How do you store treasure up in heaven? I can't even try it. Well, no. This is the point where I say, the box in the back of the room is a good start. But that's a lie. The Lord pays and covers the bills even in our church family. How do you store for yourself treasures that are in heaven? Where your heart... Wait, where does it say? Okay, the answer's there. Where your treasure is... This was a last-minute printout. That's why I could have just opened the Bible. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Flip it around. Where your heart is where your treasure is. So if your heart is the heartbeat of a lighthouse keeper, that is where your treasure is. Talk to me about the lighthouse keeper. Who is he? What is he? He is love. Who's the kingdom? It's been given to you. You are the kingdom. The kingdom is not another place paved with streets of gold, with walls and a big gate that we have to hop over in hopes that we don't get caught. You are the kingdom. The king is among you. You are the king. So here, let's just put this together. Where my heart is where my treasure is. And in the kingdom God has given me, store up my treasure in heaven. You are my treasure. My love for you. My love for you is where my treasure needs to be. This is why he says, go sell your possessions. Give it all away. Give to the needy. Not to the church institution to help them fulfill a blank vision to get to a bigger, better building. Look to the person next to you and behind you. Go ahead, just take a moment. Take an awkward second and look. That's where your treasure needs to be. That's where your treasure needs to be. We are the kingdom of God. And the King longs to give us the kingdom. And it happens by us giving to each other our possessions. So I pray someone grants you a car. You may fork out a few bucks, but I bet you it'll fit perfectly in the money that God has given you. The needs next to you is the deposit of your treasure in heaven. I'm going to put this in a little bit different way. I'm going to wrap this up with one video, 3-minute video, and then Sarah, come up. My screen's timed out, so go ahead and do that video. You're going to have to hold on because it gets a little, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of in your face video, but listen to the message. Listen to what you breathe in and breathe out. See if you can't see that you and the person next to you is where your treasure needs to be buried.